I respect Benny. Because he's done nothing but respect me. I, again, trust him. I can tell him anything.
That was Selena Gomez just a few months ago. Confident, radiant, and speaking her truth. But fast forward to now, and everything has changed. A quiet storm has erupted around her, swirling with rumors of betrayal, a suspected affair, and the kind of emotional fallout that doesn't just hurt, it haunts. Her words from a recent interview now hit differently. I'm going to stop when I need to stop. I'm going to feel when I need to feel. And I don't care what comes with that. That doesn't sound like a pop star managing her schedule. That sounds like a woman trying to breathe through heartbreak, trying to hold back the tears long enough to speak her piece. And fans believe those words were meant for someone specific, Benny Blanco. The internet is in flames, and the center of it all is a triangle no one expected. Selena, Benny, and her longtime friend turned inner circle confidant, Teresa Marie. Today, we're diving into every angle of this chaos. The cheating allegations, the cold silence, the Instagram unfollow that felt like a digital funeral, and Selena's savage, silent response that shook the timeline without saying a single word. But first, for anyone just tuning in, here's the background tea. Selena Gomez isn't just a celebrity, she's a cultural powerhouse. Singer, actress, producer, mental health advocate, and founder of Rare Beauty, she spent the last decade reinventing herself in front of the world and making it look graceful. Benny Blanco, meanwhile, has long been one of the music industry's behind-the-scenes kingmakers. With credits alongside Justin Bieber, Ed Sheeran, and more, he's been producing hit after hit while staying mostly out of the spotlight. Their romance became public in December 2023. Just 1 year later, December 2024, Benny put a ring on it. Fans were obsessed. The internet dubbed them Seleni, and their relationship quickly turned into a viral example of love meets loyalty. They weren't just cute, they were building together. In March 2025, they released a joint album titled I Said I Love You First and You Said It Back. And for a moment, it felt like everything was aligned, emotionally, professionally, and publicly. But then came the shift. By late April 2025, the energy around Selena turned cold. Whispers of betrayal started trickling into fan communities. Screenshots, TikToks, and X threads started building a narrative that felt too messy to be coincidence. At the heart of it, a viral TikTok showing Benny Blanco having dinner with Teresa Marie alone. In the background, content creator Harry Daniels sings Selena's breakup anthem, Same Old Love, directly to Benny. It was petty, it was pointed, and it instantly set social media on fire. Then came the receipts. A post from a Selena Gomez fan account claimed that Benny had subscribed to Teresa's OnlyFans. The post racked up over 9 million views in hours, with thousands of fans interpreting it as the ultimate disrespect, not just to Selena, but to their entire relationship. And just when the flames couldn't burn any hotter, Selena unfollowed Teresa on Instagram on April 29th. In 2025, an unfollow from a celebrity doesn't just end a friendship, it buries it. To those unfamiliar, Teresa Marie wasn't some distant acquaintance. She wasn't just another name floating in celebrity proximity, she was part of Selena's core circle. A trusted friend who had once served as her assistant, eventually evolving into what fans recognized as her ride or die. They shared Instagram moments, traveled together, and showed up for one another in a way that made their bond feel unshakable. That's why the rumors hit so hard. It wasn't just about a boyfriend. It was about the shattering of inner circle, trust. Fans immediately drew comparisons to the infamous Jordan Woods and Tristan Thompson scandal, labeling it Hollywood Betrayal 2.0, and they weren't being dramatic. What made the situation worse was how fast the narrative snowballed. As the TikTok of Benny and Teresa at dinner gained traction, so did speculation across platforms like X, Reddit, and Instagram. Then came the second wave, the explosive claim that Benny had allegedly subscribed to Teresa's OnlyFans account. Whether true or not, the rumor had legs, and it sprinted across the internet like wildfire. Over 9 million views, tens of thousands of shares, and an entire fandom collapsing into chaos. Though no verified proof surfaced regarding the subscription or Teresa's alleged frequent presence at Benny's house, the damage was already done. This wasn't just gossip anymore. It had become digital folklore. Still, the most damning evidence for fans was the one action that didn't require explanation: Selena's unfollow. One click, one name removed, and in today's influencer-saturated world, that's louder than any PR statement. An unfollow in 2025 isn't just passive-aggressive, it's precision warfare, and Selena didn't stop there. What followed was days of silence. No explanations, no denials, no Instagram lives or emotional notes app statements, just pure strategic distance. And in that silence, the speculation grew louder. Neither Selena, Benny, nor Teresa said a word. That vacuum of clarity became a breeding ground for all kinds of theories. For fans who followed Selena's story for years, this wasn't unfamiliar territory. Her past relationships, particularly the highly publicized roller coaster with Justin Bieber, had been riddled with rumors, trust issues, and cheating allegations. In 2016, she openly accused Justin of infidelity during a fiery Instagram exchange, and though he never directly addressed it, the moment stuck in the fandom's memory like a scar. Then came The Weeknd. Their relationship in 2017 ended abruptly, with whispers that he had reconnected with his ex, Bella Hadid, while still involved with Selena. The patterns, the betrayals, they weren't new, and now fans feared history was repeating itself. Looking deeper, what makes the Benny-Teresa situation sting even more is the lack of a pre-existing bond between the two. Prior to the viral dinner, there was no public evidence that they even knew each other well outside of their connection to Selena. Benny was her fiancé. Teresa was her longtime friend. They weren't seen hanging out. They didn't share casual photos. That dinner, the one moment caught on camera, was the first time they were spotted together alone. And that raised eyebrows fast. As more voices joined the conversation, platforms like Lipstick Alley and ONTD, oh no they didn't, dove deep into the implications of the betrayal. Many fixated on Teresa's OnlyFans content, framing it as another layer of disrespect. Others took a more skeptical stance, calling out the lack of hard evidence and questioning the validity of accounts sharing the tea. Some pointed out that the main accounts circulating the allegations were known for exaggeration or parody, and that without receipts, this entire mess might be built on assumptions. In a surprising twist, a few fans noted that Teresa had liked one of Selena and Benny's album posts even after the rumors surfaced, a detail that suggested either grace under fire or serious misdirection. So what's real and what's noise? That's the question still lingering. What's confirmed is this. A TikTok exists showing Benny and Teresa at dinner. Selena unfollowed Teresa shortly after, but the context, the why, remains unclear. The lack of confirmation has left fans to craft their own narratives, stitching together screenshots, old interviews, and digital breadcrumbs. Everyone's reaching for answers, and yet, the people involved remain silent. This isn't the first time Selena and Benny's relationship has been scrutinized by the internet. Back in October 2024, a smaller storm erupted when a blurry fan video surfaced showing Selena dancing with her only murders in the building co-star Edgar Ramirez at a concert. Some people swore there was chemistry, others rushed to call it harmless fun. But what shut it down completely was a short, calm Instagram story from Selena, showing Benny and Edgar vibing together at an event later that same week. It was simple, smart, and effective. She didn't argue, she didn't plead, she just posted, and the drama collapsed in silence. So when the Benny-Teresa rumors surfaced in April 2025, fans were watching closely. They knew Selena's style, quiet precision, subtle narrative shifts, and soft flexes. But this time, her silence stretched longer than usual. People started asking, was she shaken? Was she confirming the tea with her silence? Or was she waiting to make her move? When she did, it wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was something much sharper. On May 2nd, just a few days after the unfollow, Selena shared a single photo on Instagram stories. Benny playing with their dog and his nephew in the backyard. No captions, no explanations. But the message was clear. It was her way of saying, he's still here. That photo, with its cozy domestic energy, instantly undercut the entire narrative of betrayal. And that's the genius of Selena's approach. While stan accounts were spiraling and Twitter was mid-meltdown, she chose to post softness, to quietly reclaim control of the narrative. Media outlets like NDTV and Times of India immediately picked it up, interpreting the post as a not-so-subtle clapback. Fans called it a masterclass in social media psychology. Not reacting emotionally, not feeding the drama, just letting the image say everything it needed to. Selena didn't owe anyone an explanation. And she knew it. What stood out wasn't just what she did. It's what she didn't do. She didn't post a tearful Notes app apology. She didn't go live on Instagram to spill her side. She didn't confirm or deny. She didn't even throw shade. Instead, she gently leaned into the image of an unbothered woman standing by her man and let the audience fill in the blanks. In an era where clout chasing and online chaos dominate public discourse, her silence was almost revolutionary. Even more telling, the unfollow came before the Benny photo. That's not a coincidence. It's choreography. Selena knows how to create digital tension and release it. She knows that fans would notice the order of events, and she knew that by posting Benny in full soft boy mode, she could subtly challenge the villain narrative that was building against him online. Yet, despite all this, one lingering detail continued to fuel suspicion. Benny and Teresa still followed each other. According to multiple sources, they never hit the unfollow button, a move that felt complicated. If this were a full-blown betrayal, wouldn't they have cut ties completely? Or does their continued digital connection suggest something else? Some fans argued this meant the situation wasn't as scandalous as it seemed. Others claimed it only proved that Selena was distancing herself from Teresa, not necessarily from Benny. That maybe, just maybe, the real fracture happened between the two women. For longtime fans, this wasn't just tea, it was déjà vu. Selena's been through this emotional terrain before, and each time, it cuts deeper. Her past relationships, especially with Justin Bieber and The Weeknd, were riddled with public scrutiny, mixed signals, and recurring themes of betrayal. It's no wonder that this latest rumor, even unconfirmed, triggered a fierce protective response from her fanbase. The pain wasn't new, it was just being reactivated. In a March 2023 interview, Selena opened up about her ongoing struggles with trust and emotional safety in relationships, shedding light on how past traumas had shaped her expectations. Hearing those words again now, in the context of the Benny-Teresa situation, feels eerily prophetic. She spoke about feeling judged, never being enough for either side of her identity, never feeling fully accepted, never feeling entirely safe in her own skin. And that emotional fragility, masked by her polished public image, now feels deeply relevant. When someone like Selena, who's fought so hard for her peace, pulls back from a friend without explanation, people notice. Fans began replaying old interviews and interactions, trying to decode what might have gone wrong beneath the surface. It was no longer about rumors. It was about emotional alignment. Something had shifted, and Selena's unfollow told the world. I felt it. What stung even more were the quotes she had shared in past interviews. About Benny, about trust, about how he made her feel seen in a way that no one else had. She once said, "When Benny looks at me, I don't think he sees anything but who I am." Those words used to feel romantic. Now they felt fragile, like something precious that might have already been cracked. She described how she had felt nervous around him at first, something rare for her, how the relationship felt safe, something she hadn't felt in years. The vulnerability in those statements made the current silence feel heavier. If there was betrayal, it wasn't just romantic, it was spiritual. And while Selena was busy redirecting the narrative with soft posts and curated silence, she and Benny also made a bold professional move. On May 3rd, just one day after the wholesome dog and nephew post, they promoted the deluxe version of their joint album. That timing wasn't an accident. It was a calculated power play, a way of saying, we're still here, we're still creating, and we're not crumbling. It was another quiet flex, choosing to double down on their public partnership just as the internet tried to rip it apart. The promotion rollout wasn't loud or dramatic either, just another post, another nudge, another reminder that while the internet speculates, real life continues. And to fans who'd been following every whisper and rumor, it felt like a clear message. We're unbothered, or at least, we want you to think we are. The silence, the softness, the smiles, they were all part of the same strategy. Selena was once again curating perception without speaking a word. But that didn't stop the debate. For some fans, her silence was strength, a refusal to entertain clout-chasing noise. For others, it was frustrating, too vague, too controlled. One fan tweeted, "I wish she would just spill the tea so we can move on." Another wrote, It's giving me anxiety. Did he cheat or not? The uncertainty itself became the drama. And in a culture addicted to answers, Selena's refusal to clarify only deepened the obsession. But this wasn't just about Selena and Benny anymore. The internet has a way of dragging ghosts into the room. And before long, one name started trending alongside theirs: Justin Bieber. His silence was deafening, and yet, somehow, he was everywhere. Every lyric, every tweet, every resurfaced interview. Fans began reinterpreting everything through the lens of jealousy, heartbreak, and unresolved tension. It wasn't long before people started asking, was Selena's new music aimed at him? Was this her final chapter with Justin disguised as a love letter to Benny? In the weeks following the album's release, Justin's social media activity took a darker turn. His posts grew more introspective, heavier, lonelier. A childhood photo here, a cryptic quote there. He shared a picture of himself in a hoodie, head down, with the caption, "I've got anger issues too, but I want to grow." It wasn't an attack, but it was a signal. And fans, always watching, always decoding, took it as proof that Selena's words had reached him. That maybe, despite everything, he still felt the echo of her voice. According to reports from In Touch Weekly, Justin felt blindsided, not just by the album's themes, but by Benny himself. The two men had once been friends, collaborators, allies in the chaotic world of pop stardom. But when Benny started dating Selena, the dynamic shifted. Allegedly, Benny pulled back, stopped reaching out, started drawing clear lines. And for Justin, already haunted by a past he couldn't escape, it stung. The friendship faded, and the silence between them became louder than any song. What made it worse was the perception. While Justin was publicly working on himself, Selena and Benny were out here glowing, dropping music, smiling in photos, acting completely unbothered. To Justin, it felt personal. According to sources close to him, he believed that certain posts, maybe even some lyrics, were aimed directly at him, passive-aggressive, smug, designed to sting. And though he tried to play it cool, insiders say it cut deep. Then came the purges. Justin quietly unfollowed Benny on Instagram. And not just him, others too. Drake, The Weeknd. It was a digital exhale, a way of clearing space. But fans noticed. Of course, they always do. And soon everyone was talking about how Justin was done playing polite, that he was finished with the subliminals, that he saw what was happening, and he wasn't going to stay quiet forever. Meanwhile, Selena tried to clarify, at least a little. In a Spotify interview promoting the album, she said that most of the songs weren't about what people might think, that the project reflected both her and Benny's pasts, that some lyrics were about friendships, not exes. But as any pop star knows, interpretation isn't something you can control, especially when your ex is one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. To her credit, Selena seemed sincere, grounded, but even her attempts to quiet the speculation felt like throwing a match on dry grass. The more she insisted the album wasn't about Justin, the more people heard his name in every lyric, especially one track, How Does It Feel to Be Forgotten, which featured the brutal line, "You're so embarrassing, go cry when no one's watching." Subtle? Not at all. And fans were divided. Some called it petty, others called it power, but no one could deny. It landed like a punch. As the firestorm grew, so did Justin's emotional exposure. He wasn't doing interviews, but his Instagram was practically bleeding. In one post, he shared, "Sometimes I hate myself when I feel myself becoming inauthentic." In another, he admitted, "I've always felt unworthy, despite the love." It was heartbreaking, not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. Fans couldn't help but connect the dots between his spiraling thoughts and the timing of Selena and Benny's album. Whether the lyrics were actually about him didn't matter anymore. Justin had already taken them personally, and once emotions attach themselves to art, the truth becomes irrelevant. Then came the boiling point. TMZ paparazzi tried catching Justin, off guard, asking him how he felt about Selena's new music. He snapped, firm, cold, no jokes, no tolerance. "Don't ask me about her again." That single sentence spoke volumes. He wasn't just tired, he was wounded. And the fact that the public still saw him as part of Selena's narrative only made it worse. Meanwhile, the music kept spinning. I Said I Love You First was performing well, critically and commercially. The lyrics were dissected line by line, with fans drawing arrows to every past relationship. One of the most dissected tracks, You Said You Were Sorry, sent won't bore fandoms into a frenzy with the line, "'Cause you walked in, big ass grin, talking like we're friends. Honey, what were you thinking?" It was direct, sharp, and to many, unmistakably about Justin. Selena tried to calm the speculation. In interviews, she clarified that the album was inspired by a mix of experiences, not one person, that some songs were about friendship betrayals, not exes. But by then, the media had its angle, fans had their villain, and the internet doesn't wait for facts. It reacts to feelings. Still, not everyone was sold on the drama. Some fans pushed back, insisting this was all projection, that the narrative around Justin was being blown out of proportion by stan culture and tabloids hungry for engagement. These supporters pointed to old interviews where Selena talked about letting go, about how she no longer defined her self-worth through past relationships. They argued that her current album wasn't a revenge tour, it was healing. But the louder crowd didn't want nuance. They wanted sides. And whether she meant to or not, Selena had given them ammo. Even Taylor Swift entered the chat, figuratively at least. She posted on Instagram that she loved Selena and Benny's new album, calling it so real, so personal. That only added fuel. Because in the world of pop girl alliances, a public endorsement from Taylor is never just support. It's a signal. Fans began connecting Taylor's show of love with past comments she'd made about protecting women from toxic relationships. Again, no names, but the timing was too perfect. And as all this unfolded, Benny stood relatively quiet. No dramatic interviews, no defenses, just a few lighthearted TikToks and behind-the-scenes moments of him cooking for Selena or gushing over her in a podcast. He wasn't fighting the narrative, he was ignoring it. And somehow, that made everything even more complicated. If he really had crossed a line with Teresa, wouldn't he be more careful, more contrite? Or was his chill demeanor just proof that nothing ever happened in the first place? By this point, the internet wasn't just watching, it was taking sides. Team Selena trended for days, filled with tweets praising her strength, her silence, her refusal to stoop to drama. Others rallied behind Justin, arguing that his emotional transparency was being overlooked in favor of curated couple content. And then there was the third group, the skeptics, asking the uncomfortable questions. What really happened with Teresa Marie? Why had she gone so quiet? And why, if nothing was wrong, had Selena severed digital ties while Benny hadn't? The mystery deepened. Teresa didn't post a statement. She didn't offer denial, clarification, or even vague shade. Instead, she simply vanished from Selena's digital orbit. Fans started revisiting old posts, dissecting body language in photos, trying to identify cracks in what once looked like an inseparable friendship. Some speculated that the betrayal wasn't romantic, that perhaps it was a boundary crossed, a trust broken behind the scenes, something deeper and more emotional than anything visible to the public eye. Others weren't so generous. They saw the dinner, the OnlyFans rumors, and the silence from all parties as confirmation that something messy had gone down. The fact that Benny and Teresa were still following each other on Instagram felt suspicious to many. If this was all fake, why didn't they distance themselves immediately? If it wasn't fake, what were they trying to hide? Some fans floated an alternative theory that perhaps Selena's unfollow was less about cheating and more about emotional boundaries. Maybe she felt Teresa had overstepped by spending time with Benny privately. Maybe it wasn't about romance, but loyalty. And for someone like Selena, who's spoken openly about past betrayals and the difficulty of trusting people in her inner circle, that boundary might have been all it took to walk away. In truth, there were no answers, just a slow drip of speculation dressed up as certainty. And Selena, she refused to participate. No public statements, no messy tweets, no follow-ups to the album interviews. Just quiet posts, shared smiles, and the image of a woman who had learned to navigate chaos without inviting it inside her home. It was strategic, it was subtle, and it was incredibly effective because it left everyone guessing. Meanwhile, the media doubled down. Articles speculated on Teresa's alleged motives, citing unnamed sources and blurred screenshots. Gossip blogs turned vague rumors into clickbait headlines. And every time Selena posted, even something simple like a photo of her dog or a clip from a beauty campaign, The comments were flooded with the same question. Did Benny cheat? It didn't matter if she responded. The audience had already made up its mind. And maybe that was the most painful part. Not knowing, not confirming, just living under the weight of public speculation. It was the same trap she'd fallen into with Justin, a relationship that lasted nearly a decade, but which never truly belonged to her. Every high and low had been dissected, every lyric assumed to be a clue, every public appearance turned into an argument. And now, years later, the cycle had returned. Only this time, the triangle was different, but the spotlight was just as harsh. For Selena, this wasn't just another public rumor. It was a test of everything she'd spent years building. Her peace, her privacy, her mental health boundaries. Since 2020, she's been unapologetically vocal about the emotional damage that public speculation has caused her. In interviews, she's spoken with disarming honesty about therapy, about surviving toxic relationships, about the struggle to feel enough in a world obsessed with performance. Her rare beauty brand wasn't just makeup, it was a mission, a daily reminder to young women everywhere that self-worth isn't something given, it's something fought for. And that fight, she's made clear, happens quietly, so her reaction to this drama wasn't silence out of fear, it was silence out of discipline. She didn't owe a response, she didn't owe a headline. What she owed was her own sanity. And that might be the most unshakable form of power a woman in her position can claim. In a 2021 interview with Vogue Australia, she said, "I had to learn how to stop giving people permission to define me." And now, watching how she's handled this digital mess, that quote hits differently. She wasn't just avoiding confrontation, she was choosing peace over spectacle, privacy over performance. And while she stayed quiet, the media kept spinning. Some headlines praised her elegance and emotional restraint. Others hinted that her refusal to deny the rumors was a subtle form of confirmation. But none of it stuck, because there was nothing concrete to report, only theories built on shadows. Every move she made, or didn't make, became part of the narrative. Her silence was interpreted as strategy. Her posts were interpreted as shade. Even her facial expressions in paparazzi photos were broken down like hidden messages. It was exhausting. But it was also familiar, because this isn't Selena's first time standing in the eye of the internet's hurricane. She's navigated heartbreak in real time, watched strangers pit her against other women, and survived an emotional dissection that would break most people. And somehow, each time, she's come back, a little softer, a little stronger, and a little more unwilling to explain herself to people who don't deserve the explanation. And what about Benny? His public posture during all this was calm, maybe too calm. He didn't post emotional defenses or heartfelt denials. He didn't unfollow Teresa. He didn't flinch. Instead, he kept showing up with light content, goofy TikToks, food, clips, random behind-the-scenes moments with Selena. And that, in itself, became its own narrative. Some saw it as confidence, others saw it as arrogance. But no one saw it as coincidence. Because if there was any truth to the betrayal rumors, wouldn't he be more careful? Wouldn't he be doing damage control? Or was this just proof that the whole scandal was manufactured? A perfect storm of timing, optics, and internet paranoia? The unanswered questions kept piling up, and the fandoms kept splitting into more fragmented opinions. But the center of it all, Selena, remained composed, mysterious, and above all, unbothered. What made this particular situation so viral, so sticky, wasn't just the star power or the romantic speculation. It was what it symbolized. To many fans, this wasn't just about Selena and Benny. It was about betrayal, about female friendship, about the fear that even your most sacred relationships can collapse quietly behind your back. The idea that someone you once trusted with your secrets could smile in your face while holding your heartbreak in their hands, that fear transcends celebrity. It's deeply personal. And that's why the internet didn't just observe this story. It inhaled it. Selena became more than a pop star. She became a mirror. People saw their own betrayals in her silence, their own friendships gone cold in the way she unfollowed Teresa without a word. They saw the moments they had to choose themselves over loyalty. And in Benny's calm, some saw the ex who moved on too easily, the one who acted like nothing ever happened. It wasn't just drama, it was projection. And the longer Selena stayed silent, the more room people had to make the story their own. Social media turned into a battleground. Comments exploded into war zones. TikTok theories stitched together quotes, body language, and song lyrics into full-blown narratives that blurred the line between fan fiction and real life. People took stances they were willing to defend like gospel. And when the rumors cooled down even slightly, someone always found a new angle to reignite the flames. That's the thing about internet culture. Silence never ends a conversation. It just creates space for more speculation. But underneath all the noise, one truth stood out. Selena wasn't trying to win the internet. She was trying to protect herself. In past interviews, she's said that she doesn't respond to rumors because she values her peace more than proving a point. That she's lived too long in the shadows of public opinion to ever go back there again. And that clarity, that emotional boundary, may be the strongest storyline of all. Because while the world spiraled around her, she stayed still, grounded, present. There's something powerful about not reacting. In a world where everyone rushes to post, to defend, to clap back, choosing stillness becomes revolutionary, especially for a woman in her position, constantly expected to perform, explain, clarify. She didn't flinch. She just kept living, posting her skincare routines, promoting her music, walking red carpets, laughing in interviews, as if to say, "You can write my downfall, but I'm busy writing something else." And that's what makes her response feel timeless. It wasn't just PR coaching or good optics. It was the behavior of someone who's been here before and knows how to survive the storm, not by out-yelling it, but by refusing to get soaked. Selena Gomez didn't give the public a moment to clip, repost, and dissect. She gave them something stronger: restraint. By now, the triangle between Selena, Benny, and Justin had evolved from a personal situation into a full-blown public mythology. No one had confirmed anything, no one had denied anything, but everyone had drawn conclusions. The silence, the lyrics, the unfollows, they had all been interpreted as code. Not for truth, but for projection. And maybe that's what hurt the most. In the absence of clarity, the audience filled in the blanks with whatever fit their emotional lens. To some, Benny was the villain, the man who betrayed the woman who trusted him. To others, he was being unfairly dragged, punished by proximity to her past wounds. Some believed Teresa was the snake in the grass, hiding behind friendship, while slipping into forbidden territory. Others thought she was just collateral damage in a story she didn't write. And Justin, he was either the bitter ex who still hadn't healed, or the ghost of a past too painful to fully bury. No matter which version you chose, one thing was clear: nobody escaped untouched. And that's the danger of stories like this, especially when told in real time. They blur the line between truth and theater. They invite the world to become both audience and judge, turning heartbreak into content, trauma into trending tabs. And when the people involved are as famous as Selena and Justin, every quiet gesture becomes a headline, every lyric becomes evidence, every silence becomes a statement. But behind all the noise, there was still a real woman trying to live. A woman who had spent the better part of a decade being picked apart, reduced to sound bites and side plots, who had finally found someone she felt safe with. And now, that safety was being questioned not by facts, but by speculation. It was the same cycle she had worked so hard to escape, clawing her way toward healing only to find herself back in the same emotional spotlight, once again asked to justify her boundaries, her choices, her silence, and still, she didn't fold, because Selena Gomez has mastered the art of strategic softness, of choosing what to show and what to protect. While the world debated her personal life, she shifted the focus back to her work, to her album, her mental health advocacy, her creative collaborations. She didn't chase the narrative. She reclaimed it, quietly, elegantly, without asking for permission. Meanwhile, Benny stayed beside her, unbothered, at least publicly. He cooked for her on TikTok, told cute stories in interviews, praised her in podcasts. He played the role of the stable partner, the soft place to land. Whether it was real, calculated, or somewhere in between, no one could say. But that was the whole point. The new Selena doesn't hand out clarity like candy anymore. She's learned that some truths are stronger when left unsaid, and maybe that's the lesson buried beneath all the noise. that the most powerful response isn't always a rebuttal. Sometimes it's presence, sometimes it's stillness, sometimes it's refusing to let the public pick your wounds open again just because they're bored and looking for something to bleed. Selena didn't give the people a war. She gave them a mirror. And whether they saw a queen, a victim, a strategist, or a woman simply trying to protect her peace, that said more about them than it did about her, because in the end, we still don't know what really happened between Benny and Teresa. We don't know what Selena felt when she unfollowed her best friend. We don't know if Justin's sadness was about lost love, lost friendship, or something deeper that even he can't name. And maybe we never will. But what we do know is this: silence doesn't mean surrender. Boundaries are not bitterness. And closure doesn't always arrive with a caption. So now we're left with a question that no tabloid or TikTok can answer. What do we really want from the people we claim to love? Do we want healing or entertainment? Do we want truth or drama? Because if Selena Gomez has shown us anything, it's that protecting your story doesn't mean you've lost it. Sometimes the strongest move is refusing to perform your pain. Sometimes peace is the clapback. And maybe that's the real takeaway. Not just from this scandal, but from the way we consume them. That behind every headline, every leaked rumor, every cryptic lyric, there's a human being trying to exist. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, just honestly. And maybe that's enough. So while the internet continues to refresh, speculate, and decode, Selena, she's moved on, maybe not entirely, maybe not without scars, but forward nonetheless. And in the world of pop culture, where most people fight to stay in the spotlight, there's something sacred about walking away from it on your own terms.